You have never met a guard. Not really, but you have been one. Maybe not with a badge, maybe not with a baton, but somewhere in some small room of your life you were handed a little bit of power over someone else, and something in you changed. You didn't notice it happening. That's the part that should scare you. In 1971, a psychologist wanted to know why good people do terrible things. Not criminals, not monsters, ordinary people. People like you. His name was Philip Zimbardo, and the experiment he built in the basement of Stanford University would become one of the most disturbing studies in the history of psychology. It would also explain something about you that you have never been able to put into words. Zimbardo took a group of college students, healthy, stable, screened for any sign of violence or instability. He flipped a coin for each of them. Heads, you are a guard. Tails, you are a prisoner. That was it. That was the entire difference between them. A coin flip. The prisoners were arrested at their homes by real police with real sirens. They were blindfolded, stripped, deloused, and given numbers instead of names. The guards were given uniforms, mirrored sunglasses, and wooden batons. No training, no instructions on how to behave, just a role and a costume. The experiment was supposed to run for 2 weeks. It was shut down in 6 days. By day 2, the guards had started waking prisoners at 2 in the morning for head counts, just to remind them who was in control. By day 3, prisoners were being forced to clean toilets with their bare hands. By day 4, one prisoner was having such severe breakdowns that he had to be removed from the study entirely. He wasn't acting. His body believed the role completely. And here's the detail that still unsettles researchers 50 years later. Zimbardo himself, the man running the experiment, stopped acting like a scientist. He started acting like a prison superintendent. He had slipped into his own role without realizing it. It took another psychologist, Christina Masloch, walking into the basement and seeing the conditions with fresh eyes, to tell him to his face that what he had built was no longer an experiment. It was abuse. That single outside perspective is the only reason the study ended when it did. So what happened here? Why did ordinary students, kind students, turn into people they would not recognize a week later? Your brain is built to read situations, not just people. This is the part most people get backwards. You assume behavior comes from character, from who someone fundamentally is. But Zimbardo's results pointed somewhere else entirely. Behavior comes from context, from the role you are placed in, the uniform you are handed, the power structure you are dropped into. Change the situation, and you change the person inside it. Not because they were secretly cruel all along, because the architecture around them gave cruelty a place to live. Think about how strange that is. A coin flip decided who would suffer and who would inflict the suffering. Nothing about their personalities mattered. The role did the work. This is not just a story about a basement in California in 1971. You have lived a version of this. Maybe you have watched someone get a small promotion and slowly become someone harder to recognize. Maybe you have seen a quiet kid become cruel the moment they were handed a little bit of social power in a group chat. Maybe it has happened to you. A title, a uniform, a platform. And without meaning to, you started performing the role instead of being yourself. There is a name researchers use for this: de-individuation. It means the loss of your individual identity when you are absorbed into a role, a uniform, or a crowd. Your name disappears. A label takes its place. Guard, prisoner, manager, anonymous account. And the less anyone can see you as an individual, including yourself, the easier it becomes to act in ways you never would under your own name. This pattern shows up again and again across history, and it rarely needs an evil mastermind to set it in motion. Just 10 years before Zimbardo's study, another psychologist named Stanley Milgram ran a different experiment that arrived at a strangely similar conclusion. He told ordinary volunteers to deliver what they believed were painful electric shocks to another person, simply because a man in a lab coat told them to continue. Most of them did, not because they were sadists, because authority gave them permission to stop seeing themselves as the one responsible. Both studies point at the same uncomfortable truth. Morality is not a fixed trait sitting inside you, untouchable by circumstance. It is far more fragile than that. It bends under the weight of roles, uniforms, and permission structures. The line between a good person and a cruel one is thinner and far more situational than you have ever wanted to admit. So why would evolution build a brain this responsive to roles in the first place? Wouldn't it make more sense to hardwire a fixed sense of right and wrong? For most of human history, you did not survive alone. You survived in a group, and that group needed structure to function. Someone had to lead the hunt. Someone had to defend the camp at night. Someone had to enforce the rules that kept everyone fed and alive. Your ancestors, who could quickly absorb a role, fully commit to it, and act with the authority that role demanded, were the ones whose group survived harsh winters, predator attacks, and conflicts with rival bands. A hesitant guard at the edge of camp got everyone killed. A fully committed one did not. This is the same machinery that activated in that Stanford basement. The same machinery that activates in you every time you put on a uniform, take on a title, or get handed authority over someone else, even in the smallest way. It is not a flaw in your psychology. It is a feature that once kept your ancestors alive, now firing in a world that hands out power in far stranger and more arbitrary ways than your ancestors ever had to navigate. There is a reason this experiment still gets taught, still gets argued about, still gets cited in courtrooms and military ethics training half a century later. It is not really about prisons. It was never really about prisons. It is about the version of you that exists only under certain conditions. The version that shows up when no one is checking your name, when a role has been handed to you, when the structure around you quietly grants permission for behavior you would normally never choose. That version is not a stranger living inside you. It is you wearing different lighting. The most disturbing part of Zimbardo's research is not that the guards became cruel. It is how quickly it happened and how little resistance most of them put up once it started. Their identities did not override the role. The role overrode their identities. So here is the question worth sitting with the next time you are handed even a small amount of power over someone else. A new job title, a position of authority over someone younger, a moment online where you are anonymous and someone else is not. Will you remember your name, or will you become the role? You have never met a guard. But somewhere inside you, in the right conditions, with the right uniform and the right silence around you, you might already know exactly how to become one.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, share, and even subscribe if you'd like to see more future videos like this one. Thanks for watching.